Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns issue 1, Jeff Parker writing with Lucas Kettner on the art. So yeah, this is a weird thing that came back. I'm not mad that it came back by any
Oh.
means. Uh, but definitely just a lighter read at the end of a long list of heavy books.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're basically some big evil thing is stalking people, and like turning them to stone, or like grabbing them and like
No, mummifying them,
mummifying them. Yeah, they're sucking the life force out of them.
sucking their life force out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. I'm going to. I hate to start with a critique, but it's on the very first page. What they are is that. I mean, maybe the point here is that the character's aging rapidly or something.
Yeah.
But like it does look like a 12-year-old in that top panel. It looks like Damien basically, and then in the panel in the bottom, it looks like a middle-aged man. Now,
Yeah.
I assume that is intentional, but I do think maybe something to, I don't know, bridge the two to make it clear that this is an active change that's happening, as opposed to, I don't know, because like, initially, until later on, where it became clear like what was happening to these people when they were being grabbed by these hands in the ground. I don't know. It felt like a mistake at the start that they look so different in age. But
well, there's that too. But if you look at the guys behind him too, they look kind of young in that. So maybe that's just a flaw in the art here.
Yeah, I think there might be a bit of a hiccup there. But yeah, so. Yeah, the Justice League are already on it though, because we see the green beam come down and that's going on. But we cut to Zatanna, and it's Christmas time, obviously, and she's basically saying, "Hey, something's going on, and people are dying around the planet, like, or getting mummified specifically." And Damien taps on her window and is like, "Hey, I need your help. The Justice League have tracked this enemy, and like, we need some like magical intervention. Like, we already know who's behind the mummifications, but we need a way to like fight him or take him down." So he explains what happened, and we see the Justice League like fighting this guy. Again, kind of an interesting team here of a Justice League, where you've got Superman, Batman, you've got John Stewart, you've got Nubia, you got Mira, and then you've got Thunderheart. You got Irie, yeah, Wally's daughter, who is there as like and Damien's there too. So there's two kids, I guess, but that was interesting, and she ends up being kind of instrumental here, and like, you know, like
getting Damien out of the realm.
Yeah, which she does succeed in doing, but she ends up trapped in it anyway. So she ends up like stuck with the rest of them, and she gets grabbed. In fact, her and one of the other characters both got grabbed, and they've got their mark on them, like of the beast, if you will. But because they're super powered, they seem to be resisting whatever like affects everyone else. They were able to like, stave it off, but it does like trap the Justice League in this bubble effectively of like whatever's going on. So yeah, that's honestly, it was fun seeing Irie deal with that. There's also like a funny moment where Nubia says thank Hera, and Mira goes, no, Mira, it's Mira you're thanking, which I thought was a funny little line. But just mostly fun, regardless. And then back to like Zatanna and Damien, and Damien's saying I need help. I got your address from so and so. And just as she's saying she doesn't really know what to do, fire starts coming from the fireplace, and out walks Santa Claus, who's came down the chimney. And yeah, it's like, okay, so he's
good old Kris Kringle.
He's been monitoring what's going on. He's got a connection to them now because he's a good boy, basically.
He's listening because he's listening through the candles that are part of the ornaments on the tree, which is how they found Damien in the first Silent Night.
And it turns out that this big evil thing was one of the entities that escaped when Krampus released a bunch of evil stuff back in the first story, and they were able to like contain most of them, but this is one that got out. So this is how it ties back in plot wise to that. And here we are. So this sets up why it connects to that story. And Zatanna is going to read up on all this mystical stuff as Damien takes Santa off to the scene of the crime, effectively. So yeah, but this thing, there's a giant Titan that shows up, And
it's a frost giant.
Yeah, Justice League have to try and fight it. So again, there's some more action. It's a bit fluffy in that sense because it is just kind of here's some fun, here's some characters interacting. But I will say the team up is very interesting, and like Mira kind of like taking Irie under her wing and sort of looking after her when she gets scared is an interesting little pairing as well. Maybe it makes sense because Mira is actually a mother now, so she maybe sympathizes with the kids a bit more or whatever. But yeah, apparently like reality's changing. Like this evil thing's like sucks so much life force out that it's building stuff, and in particular seems to have built this evil looking castle at the end, fueled by all the human lives that it sucked life from.
Yeah.
And that's what the cliffhanger to the end of the issue is.
It's driving me nuts because I should know what this type of thing is, but I have no clue.
I mean, I wouldn't know what it is, so I didn't even try and think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun issue. It's definitely the most kind of like just fluffy, lightest book that I read this week, but that's not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I will admit that it is a little bit more of an ask to read this on a busy week like this when I already feel like I read enough, but it certainly wasn't bad, and I'm down to read more of it.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it's weekly, so I just checked too. So
yeah, it was weekly last time as well.
Yeah. Because I was like, we're gonna keep reading Christmas stuff through like March, but no, it's weekly. So, but yeah, it doesn't seem to have the Christmassy vibe as the first one did. So we'll see how that goes, depending what this entity is. I mean, it's pretty powerful, the fact that it escaped one of the constructs from John, right? John put it in like this Canopic jar, and it almost teleported out, and that's how it got Superman. So whatever they're fighting, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I think by its nature, they couldn't make it as Christmassy as the first one. Maybe it'll get more Christmassy later, but I feel like it's just the fact that Santa Claus is here helping is really all you've got. Like, obviously, Zatanna's got a Christmas tree up, but other than that, it's not really like the mood because we started this with the Justice League already fighting something and in some sort of like secluded location in the desert or whatever it is. So there's not really a lot to feel Christmassy.
Yeah.
And I guess they just figured, well, like, what do we do? Like, maybe they just didn't have another idea that felt as Christmassy. But maybe, like I say, maybe it'll get more Christmassy.
Yeah, I think it will, because there's a ton of old world, like Yuletide and winter solstice type monsters to pull from. So, and I trust Jeff Parker because that's where he kind of he plays the best in that kind of sandbox. That's why he was, Yeah,
I mean, maybe it'll tie back into Christmas where the villain's going to like go after children on Christmas morning or something like that.
Where it feels like it's kind of building towards. But yeah, I mean, for it was a nice, like you said, it was light and fluffy. But after this week, right? I read this right after Black Canary, so after having all of that and that so condensed and a lot going on, to have this, which is like, oh, cool, Viking Santa's back. Like, it was a nice addition.
Yeah, it just feels like a sequel to that book, for better or worse. I think if you like that book, you'll probably get some fun out of this. It is nice them bringing in more characters, though. I wasn't expecting Irie to be one of the team members, so that's cool.
And say Nubia as well. That's a nice addition. It's not just Diana.
It is funny though that because the first book definitely started off feeling Batman Santa Claus, and then by the end, the whole Justice League's involved. That's kind of cool. Because this one starts off with like a full team already, it kind of feels like the name's kind of stupid. Like, why don't you just call it Silent Knight Returns? Like, it's because putting Batman's name in the book's title sells it better, but fundamentally, it doesn't feel like it's specifically a Batman book. He feels like a minor character in this at best.
I mean, it could have just been Justice League.
Yeah, it could have been Justice League. Yeah,
Silent Knight Returns, which it's definitely called Silent Knight Returns to play off of the Dark Knight Returns.
Of course. I mean, but even just calling the first one Silent Knight was a play on Dark Knight. So.
Yeah. I mean, even Santa and Damien kind of hit that, Batman Carrie Kelly pose as they're leaving Zatanna's place.
That said, I've always liked Silent Knight less as a Christmas reference and more of a cool nickname for Cass, because she's the quiet one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that was her first arc of her ongoing series was called Silent Knight. Yeah. And that was such a cool title. Yeah. All right. What you rating? Silent Knight Returns Part 1.
I mean, this is a solid 7.
Yeah. about a 7. It's good. I wouldn't go any higher than that though.